A warm welcome to your Barbados Today Evening News Update for Tuesday, November 17. Our top stories: Parliament today earmarked millions of dollars to assist vulnerable families across the island. Prime Minister Mia Mottley sought the House's approval for another $10 million to pump into its Adopt the Family program. The scheme was introduced earlier this year to provide persons and families who lost their income due to the COVID-19 pandemic with $600 per month.
I'm asking this honourable committee to agree to this sum of money to allow us to have a seamless continuation of the funds to be delivered to the families. The general rule is if you are drawing unemployment benefit, you will not benefit from the $600 a month. And it's very simple. As I said in recent times, this government must first deal with needs before it can deal with wants. And we deal with needs in order to ensure that next year, this time, that all who are standing now as far as possible will be standing as a result of our being able as a people to hold each other up, recognizing that the government is the one entity with the greatest girth now, especially with the implosion of the private economy and especially with the additional pressure on the charitable organizations.
The government today also fast-tracked a plan to eliminate pit toilets within 7 years. Mottley, who's also the finance minister, made it clear that Barbados at 54 must not have 4,000-odd pit toilets, and her ministry intends to remedy the situation.
I hope that in 7 years from now, we can say that the only reason anybody has a pit toilet is because they went and dig one the week before. And that in truth and in fact, we become a country that literally works with persons to ensure that this is not part and parcel of the legacy that an independent Barbados gives them to move into the next generation.
Meanwhile, newly minted Member of Parliament for St. George North, Tony Moore, took her place in the House of Assembly today. With the formal introduction from Speaker of the House, Arthur Holder, Moore was welcomed by both sides of the House. Leading the greetings, Prime Minister Mottley said she was especially pleased that Moore, the General Secretary of the Barbados Workers' Union, was elected. She made it clear that she expected robust debate and heavy lifting from Moore, who she says was fully expected to trumpet the cause of labour at times.
We are conscious that there will be moments when her duty to the labour movement will take preeminence over anything else. And I start this session by making that point very clear. That is what we expect of her. That is what we require. We believe that the public requires of her. And her decision to work with us is one that is rooted in the same philosophical concerns and beliefs.
Opposition leader Bishop Joseph Adderley congratulated Moore, who crushed her 5 political rivals when she captured the St. George North seat for the ruling BLP with 3,154 votes in the November 11 by-election. He urged Moore, who previously served as an independent senator in the last sitting of Parliament, to stay focused and keep the faith.
Ultimately, judgment is not established in the critiquing tongues, especially of opponents or even of supporters. It is found more so in the manner in which you conduct yourself as you seek to serve. And I'm sure you will find and fulfill the proper way in doing so. And ultimately, it is to be found in the courts of heaven.
In response, Moore signaled she was ready to work on behalf of her constituents and the working class. She also had some advice for her colleagues.
All honorable members in this House have to avoid the temptation, as the honorable leader of the opposition said, to ignore the critics, because we must be ever mindful of the critics, because it's in listening and deciding that we will not push dissenting voices in the background that we are ever conscious of the mandate and the commitment that we have and the work that we have to do within this honorable House.
Airport security and health and safety concerns for hundreds of Barbadians have led to government acquiring land now occupied by squatters at Rockhall St. Philip. Minister of Housing, Lands and Maintenance, Dr. William Dugate, today tabled in the House of Assembly a resolution to compulsory acquired the land at Gemswick, owned by Balmore Investment and leased to the Grantley Adams International Airport. The houses in the area sit on a landfill that, among other things, emit gases dangerous to humans. Dr. Duguid says the government has no choice but to act to safeguard lives.
If we had a fire there and just one person died, what is the value of one person's life? What is the value of one person becoming ill because of inhalation of gases? What is the cost of staying in hospital for a month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months if you have burn injuries or cancer or whatever? The cost, the Minister of Health will tell you, is about $30,000 per month per person. Per person. Can we as a government sustain that for hundreds of people? And how does that then displace the other person that needs acute medical attention as well? So we as a government must do everything to mitigate risks and to reduce expenses and to understand and look to the future and see how we can mitigate the problems that may come with these kinds of settlements.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from the region, the Jamaican 5-year-old boy who was mauled by dogs in a community in the parish of St. Anne's is now to undergo cosmetic surgery. More in this report from Television Jamaica.
He was attacked by the dogs while returning from a shop Sunday afternoon. Acting Senior Medical Officer at the St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital, Dr. Tanya Hamilton Johnson, told our news centre that the boy was bitten all over his body.
The child was in what we would consider a very unstable state, and so therefore the team had to resuscitate the patient to stabilize him, and then subsequently, for full assessment, we took him to theatre where we did surgery to ensure that the wounds were clean and to actually stop bleeding and to further stabilize him. However, he will subsequently need further management by the plastic surgeon, and so the plan is to transfer him as soon as he's stabilized.
Over in Central America, Storm Iota unleashed torrential flooding on Tuesday, causing swollen rivers to burst their banks as it flipped roofs onto the streets and down electricity poles and trees, killing at least 2 people in the region.
Hurricane Iota crashed into the coast of Nicaragua on Monday, packing winds of 155 miles or 260 kilometers per hour. The U.S. National Hurricane Center has downgraded its power from a Category 5 to a 4, but Iota is still expected to do some serious damage. The storm could raise sea levels by 20 feet or 6 meters above normal tides and dump as much as 30 inches, that's 76 centimeters of rain, as it barrels inland over the next few days. The disaster follows in the wake of another huge storm. Hurricane Eta struck the region only 2 weeks ago, killing dozens and devastating crops. Experts say millions are now facing hunger. The United Nations Refugee Agency blamed climate change for increasing extreme weather in Central America, a charge echoed by regional leaders. Guatemalan President Alejandro Giammattei said his country was caught in a vicious cycle.
Every time there is a natural disaster as a result of climate change, we acquire debt, and we have come out to knock on the doors of the generous, of the banks and multilateral bodies that then give us higher financing obligations for reconstruction.
Ahead of the storm, authorities rushed to get people to safety. Frightened residents hunkered down at a shelter on the coast of Nicaragua.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media and bus terminals, as well as Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.